Hello.
Hi, this is Pete Chargan. Thanks very much for joining. We'll be starting the webinar in just a moment. So if you can please hold on, we'll get started in just a second. Okay, well, let's get started right away. My name is Pete Chargan. Thanks very much for joining today. I really appreciate you spending the time with us in between the holidays and immediately start before the new year. A few housekeeping things before we get started. We are recording the session, and so if you'd like to share this with your colleagues, we'll certainly be ready to do that. We'll send that off to you later on today. The webinar is 30 minutes so that you have plenty of time to get back to your day job or get ready to celebrate the start of the new year. Feel free to ask questions in the chat at any time. We'll get to them during the course of the webinar if that's appropriate, or if it's better, then we'll save the questions to the end and we will have question time saved for us at the end. If you have anything specific that you'd like to cover outside the webinar, you can either contact us at info@optimex.io, or you can just leave us a chat here. I'd like to introduce our primary speaker. Our primary speaker is Vamsi. He's been involved in software delivery for more than 6 years. He spent quite a bit of time at companies large and small. He's been at IBM, and he's also been a DevOps engineer working on the Kohl's e-commerce account. Kohl's is a big retailer around the world. And so he has a ton of experience. Right now, he's a software engineering leader for us here at OptimeX, and he'll be here to help make Spinnaker simple. Spinnaker does have a reputation, at least, perhaps not among our customers, but in the market generally, that it's a great product, but it's not as simple as people would like in order to get started, especially. Very powerful, very good at deploying software around the world and around to all your different targets, but not necessarily simple to get started. So he'll cover that for us in detail. Just a couple words about OptimeX before we get started. Our products, OptimeX Enterprise for Spinnaker, is built on the open leader for software delivery, and that is Spinnaker. We have a product also called Autopilot that helps in the automated decisioning process, speeding up one of the slowest parts, the manual intervention that's required when you are having to decide whether or not to move something into production. And so we can talk about that in more detail. We have customers around the world, again, large and small customers like Cisco, who have thousands and thousands of pipelines, down to small customers who are really just getting started with Spinnaker. We're a leading contributor to the Open Enterprise Spinnaker project, with more than 1,000 contributions. And so with that, I don't want to spend too much time, but let it be known, I guess, that we have helped customers around the world of all sizes get started on their continuous delivery transformation journey, and we're happy to do that with you as well. So with that in mind, let me kick it over to Vamsi. Vamsi, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, team. Good morning and good evening to everyone. Yeah. Okay. Just let me share my screen. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Hello. Yeah. I hope you
Go
guys.
ahead.
Yeah. I hope you guys are able to see the screen. So
We can see the screen. Go ahead.
yeah. Before starting with the Spinnaker overview, I just want to give the brief intro of why we need to go for the Spinnaker. So as we know, like in the recently, like in the current enterprise world, enterprises are moving undergoing the digital transformation where they're trying to undergo the faster release process for their production ready environments. So as part of this adoption, like they are trying to build and integrate with their application with multiple tools which will provide the multiple features like for considering for the monitoring or continuous verification and continuous deployments and continuous apart from that, having the proper approvals in place for rollouts and rollback strategies and policy compliance checks. So they are trying to involve these in many tools with the in the deployment process. So when the number of these features are increasing, the number of the tool integration is more, and it is becoming more complicated in the world to achieve the faster release process. So in order to meet all these challenges with these integrations and these, to achieve these features, like we should have an automated end-to-end continuous deployment tool in place, which will make our life easier for the release process. So here comes our Spinnaker, which plays a major and a crucial role in making our deployment life very simple and easier. So coming to the Spinnaker, it is initially developed in 2014 by 2014 by Netflix, where they have ran around 7,000 applications with 10,000 around of 10,000 pipelines in the production ready environments, and they were successful. So once they have tested everything, they have released the outsourced the production ready Spinnaker into the open source, where it is available for all of us in the today's world to use the to use it and make our deployment process much easier. And day to day, like it is like being backed by AWS cloud and Google Cloud platform, and we all as a Optimex as well. We are backing up in the sense like we are taking the Spinnaker code and we are doing much and more wonders on how we are using the Spinnaker. Moving forward, like to understand in specific, like why we need to go for the Spinnaker. Like it can be like I can say like it is like free and open source, no need to pay anything for this. And coming to one of the most important feature, which is called as a multi-cloud platform. It supports multi-cloud. It's independent of the cloud platform on which our application is running on. It can be either our AWS, it can be either our Azure or the GCP or any cloud platform it supports. There is no platform restriction, and mainly it supports like Kubernetes environment, which where the today's world is moving vastly around the container platform. And apart from that, like we can deploy both monolithic and microservice based applications onto the any of the cloud environments using the Spinnaker. And there is a concept called templates in Spinnaker where we can easily reuse our pipelines instead of going and creating manually each and every time, which makes our developer life very easier. And there are many APIs also available with the Spinnaker, which the Chavos monkey or something we can use in that way. And one more thing is that like it's having the large community support, where there is no other tool where we are having this much community support or open source support, which we are available for the deployment process. Coming to the community support, we as a Optimex, we are providing the major Slack support to almost around 10,000 users of the Spinnaker in the current world, which is going on today. So moving forward, I just want to explain you what and all of the Spinnaker features. There are many features which Spinnaker offers. We just highlighted like a few features which we are mostly used in the day-to-day time activities. So coming to the features, it is like delivery pipeline. So you know, right, a developer he's sitting in one environment and he is not in contact with the operations team, which is like we will be having many testing process, release process, and the deployment process till the application go to the production level. So before it is going to the production, he need to make many changes. So we need to he need to configure the pipelines. So Spinnaker makes his life easy by easily providing easily in the form of stages where he can create his pipeline easily. So this is how the Spinnaker helps over there. And coming to multi-cloud deployments, as I explained before, like using the Spinnaker, we can deploy into a hybrid cloud or private cloud or public cloud, any of the clouds of the on of an enterprise where they are running their infrastructure. coming to automate the release process. So like most of the cases in this world, we are moving towards the world is moving towards the automation. So when now the developer checking the code, that should automatically trigger our pipeline. So Spinnaker provides many automated process, which I will show you a short demo in the upcoming slides. So, and coming to the build and deployment strategy. So this is a crucial in where when we go into the production environments. So we should be critical where our application should not have the any downtime. So based on that, we need to ensure or select our deployment strategies. Like we Spinnaker by default it supports many deployment strategies like blue, green, Highlander, canary deployments, and rollbacks. So even with the Spinnaker, right, the way we do the rollbacks is very simple. When we choose other CD tools like Jenkins, which is being used mainly. If you want to do this rollout or rollback activities, we need to have the custom scripts or continuous integration and deployment tools where we do the perform these activities. But using the Spinnaker, it is like simple strategy which I will be showing you. Yeah, coming to Spinnaker integration. So what is this Spinnaker integration mean? So by default, like we can integrate some tools with the open source Spinnaker, but not every tool will be supported on the plain vanilla Spinnaker. So we as an Opsimex has implemented like many integrations with many of the tools which as per the customer or client requirements. I will just show you what and all are the tools which we are going to or which we have integrated till day in the Spinnaker world. So here are the list of the tools which we have implemented or integrated with our Spinnaker, open source Spinnaker. So I will just go through the few of them which are important in the day-to-day life. So coming to these cloud platforms, like this by default, our open source Spinnaker will help in integration of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. But we as an Opsimex on top of it helps you in integrating with OpenShift or OpenStack platforms, which is very difficult to run with the secured client environments where the restrictions are very high. But we made it possible on top of our Spinnaker. And coming to the continuous integration, we can integrate with this is the most common things: Jenkins, Travis, AWS, and all. And coming to the build automation, we can do it Maven, Gradle, etc. And coming to monitoring, yeah, this is one of the most important stuff where each of the organization is looking for. So we have integrated with each and every monitoring tool like Elasticsearch, Stackdriver, and Prometheus, etc. And Datadog as our one more integration. So everything we have integrated and we have tested it. And coming to the configuration management, like yeah, Terraform is one of the crucial tool which is used for the infrastructure management. And we have integrated the Spinnaker with the Terraform as well, where it will help you to build your infrastructure as well using that Spinnaker. And apart from the configuration management, we have integrated with the Ansible and Puppet as well. And coming to security analysis, like we have integrated SonarQube, Aquasec, JFrog, Artifactory. These are all we have. Yeah, Vault integration also we have done. Yeah, and coming to the notification sections, the service now, right, for the release process, we should have proper approvals in place and everything. So we have integrated our Spinnaker with our Jira service now, where approvers like the release managers can go ahead and approve their tickets or service now cases. Once the case is approved, then only the Spinnaker pipeline will proceed for our deployment pipelines. So these and all integrations are not possible in plain with our Spinnaker, open source Spinnaker, but we as an Opsimex team, we have developed and we have made it possible through these many number of the integrations. Moving forward back. Yeah, and I just want to show you like what is this create and reuse Spinnaker pipelines for continuous deployment. So what is meant by this create and reuse? So as I explained before, like developers like they are developing their code base. So their development should go. It should not be stopped. It should be the continuous process. Uh, where they used to adjust this release pipelines in the sense like based on the features like they should be adding the stages and all. So Spinnaker makes his life easy in as like Spinnaker is having small stages. So the developer can easily select the particular stage and he can build a pipeline easily within the 2 to 3 minutes, and easy configuration through pipeline as a code. And we are having these templates as well for recreating the environments. For example, we have developed the application for the QA testing. Then we need to move it to production. Then we don't need to create the pipelines. We can just take the Spinnaker existing template and we can create one more pipeline for the production environment and enforce custom policy checks. So we are having some of the code freeze times or peak period times where we need to ensure that our application should not be deployed into any of the production environment at any cost during the code freeze or peak period time, so that we should not have any imbalances in our applications. So in order to achieve that, we should have some policy checks and policy compliance, which will lock our pipelines in specific. So these are the features are not available by default in the open source Spinnaker, but we as an OpsMex, we have developed these features and all. We can log our pipelines. We can restrict our deployment during the production code freeze times. So these and all will be available. So this is the sample pipeline which we have how our release process will go. So first, the developer will test that his code with the image in the test environment, and he will deploy it as a canary for the existing deployment. And once he has a cutover manual approval, which means like the approver after all the testing is done on the canary and canary release part, it will wait for 30 minutes. Wait in a sense like it's just to ensure like we have completed all the testings. So once the testing is completed, once the approver approves the stage, then it will go and deploy in our production as a red, black, or Highlander based on the strategy which we are deciding or which we are selecting. Then tear down the canary, which means like if we are selecting the red, black, then we need to go and destroy our older version of the production in order to have the cost effective for cloud environment, which means like we will just wait for particular amount of time and we will ensure like our canary deployment is healthy without any issues, and then we can go ahead and destroy the older deployments. Yeah, just I'm just going to present you a small demo on what is this Spinnaker pipelines. I have just explained it theoretically, but I want to show you small demo on how to create these pipelines, how to run and how to integrate these services and all. So before going to the demo, I just want to explain you what are the key technologies which we will be using the Spinnaker. So will be having something called application. Application represents the set of the pipelines and the target servers or the artifacts or the manifests which are running under the pipelines execution. So coming to the cloud provider. So cloud provider refers to here basically the cloud account which we are authenticating to. So if it is like AWS or GCP or Azure, so based on the cloud provider, we can deploy onto the particular cloud platform. So account in a sense like which is a Kubernetes account, which the cloud provider account basically we will be using for Kubernetes to authenticate using a kubeconfig file or such type of stuff in order to deploy into that particular cloud platform. Pipeline, as I'm explaining you before, pipeline is a sequence of steps or the stages which our release process will go through from the testing to the production deployments. So triggers is something like for the automation process where we can have the triggers based on the Jenkins build or GitHub or a webhook based on a webhook or on sorry or on the webhook or something based on the Docker commits. If the image is updated in the Docker Hub, then our pipeline can be triggered. So such type of triggers we can add using the Spinnaker. Coming to artifacts, so we can have artifacts something like GitHub repo files or the Helm charts based on this or Amazon AMI. So these type of artifacts we can define in our Spinnaker. So these are the few key technologies which we will be using in our Spinnaker. And now I will be just showing you a small demo on what are these Spinnaker integrations and how we will be creating the pipelines and pipeline as a code and template to recreate the pipelines. So coming to the Spinnaker integration, just a second.
So Vamsi, we do have a couple of questions. So we have about 5 minutes for the demo, and then we'll get to a couple of questions. For all the participants, please keep those questions coming. Go ahead, Vamsi, you can fire up the demo.
Yeah.
Keep the questions going, and we'll answer as many as we have time to, and we're able to stay around for future, I'm sorry, a little bit longer than the close of the hour. So go ahead, Vamsi.
Yeah. So if you see, I have, oh, sorry, this is scrolling out. Yeah, so here is a small pipeline which I have created. So what this pipeline will be having, I'm explaining you before what is meant by automated triggers. So I had a Git repo here configured here with a webhook in it. So this is a small Nginx application which is running over here. So I had just a Docker file which will build the Docker image using the Jenkins, and that image will be deployed into the one of the cloud providers. In our case, it is like we are managing in applications in our Azure. So we have created one AKS cluster in Azure, and we have added that cluster to our Spinnaker account, and we have configured accordingly. So this is the Nginx demo app. So what this doing is like this will go. This is integrated with the Jenkins. So this is my Jenkins job which I have created. So this job will basically build the Docker image, and it will fetch the Docker tag, and it will fetch the Docker tag. So with the Docker tag and the build number which we have done, I will just keep the manual judgment. So I will just verify whether my build number is correct and whether I'm doing the right deployment process or not, and I will take that build number, the image tag, and I will put it in the this is a deploy stage. This is the deploy manifest stage, which is like basically the account. The account this is specifying like which is the Kubernetes cluster on which we are going to deploy. So these are the different Kubernetes accounts which we had for the different environment, and this is the target environment which I'm selecting now to deploy my manifest. So this is a target AKS cluster. So I'm saying I'm asking my Spinnaker to deploy in the default namespace. So I'm having the different namespaces, but I'm fine to deploy in the default namespace. And so this is the sample deployment strategy which I'm using. So this is the image tag which I'm getting the build number. So from the Jenkins build number, I have parameterized this. So from the previous stage, based on the Jenkins build, I'm getting the image of the tag of that image, and I'm deploying it. So I'll just show you the small execution of this pipeline. So previously, just I have deployed it, and it is running here like this with the version Nginx version v1. If I just reload you, yeah, this is the v1 version of the Nginx. So when I go ahead and I try to change this index.html. So I'm just updating this version to v2, and the color I'm just moving it to gray. Yeah, so once I commit the changes, I can see like one pipeline got triggered over here. So here it is indicating like how it got triggered. It is like git basic trigger based on that Nginx from the repo which we have done. And the first one is like the Jenkins build. So if I go to that Jenkins, where is my Jenkins? Just a second. Get the build number. Yeah, you should see the build number over here. So oh, sorry. Okay, I guess I will just, yeah, it got completed, the bill number 22, and it is asking for the manual judgment. So whether I can proceed with the bill number 22 or not, I'm just giving the proceed button. If I give this continue, yeah, you can see like it's going to the deploy stage. You can see that service occurs and the manifest is, if you see the task status, like yeah, it will resolve all the stuff, deploy manifest, deploy stuff, monitor the deploy, and it will wait the manifest to stabilize, and it will do that. So if you come here and if you see, this is the cluster to which I have connected to kubectl config. Yeah, if you see this in the default namespace, you should have one deployment running, which is around 46 seconds. So this is how our deployment process will take place. And also, apart from that, yeah, we have many pipelines we have created. There is one pipeline. Next.
So Vamsi, we're just about out of time. Should we move on to some of the questions
Yeah,
that we have? We have quite a few active questions.
yeah,
Would you like to go over those?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so one of the first questions was related to our integrations. How are the
How are these
integrations that you
different
how
from?
are the integrations that we showed previously different from the native Spinnaker integrations?
Yeah, hi, Michael. To answer your question, natively Spinnaker will support only few integrations like basic stuff like Kubernetes, which is a cloud platform. It won't support all the integrations like Jira or ServiceNow or Ansible or Terraform. So we need to define our custom stages in Spinnaker to have this integration possible. So we as an OptionX will help you if you are interested or more on this integration, we can help you on how to configuring this stuff and all.
Okay, great. Karun asks, why
Yeah,
do we need a different pipeline for different environments? Is it
I
possible
would like
to have code move
code
from
move
dev
them
to
to prod.
production in the same pipeline?
Yeah, it's possible to move to the. It's possible, definitely possible to move, but it will be looking complex, more complex, and more awkward. To difficult to configure if we have multiple number of stages in one single pipeline. But yeah, of course, definitely we can do that with the multiple number of stages with the repetitive stages in the same pipeline.
So again, that's a good question. It depends on the complexity of your situation, and we're happy to discuss the pros and cons of either having a single pipeline or multiple pipelines. So that might be a good place for us to have a chat. So thanks very much for that. The next question is, how does Spinnaker connect to any of the cloud providers? Are
Yeah,
there any roles on the cloud provider that need to be set up, for example, in AWS?
yeah. As Mohan, like you are correct, we need one AWS account with one IAM role defined, which is having the access to that cloud account. And in that cloud account, we need to configure in our Halyard. So Halyard is a basic core component which holds all the Spinnaker related configurations. You know, Spinnaker is a multi-service application which is having around 9 to 10 microservices. So all these configurations will be stored in our Halyard config file. So in the Halyard config file, we need to specify or enable particular cloud provider with which we need to integrate our Spinnaker to. And each of the cloud provider, we need to have, like if it is like GCP, you need to provide a service account. If it is like AWS, we need to provide an IAM role with the proper access to it.
Okay, thanks very much. So it's 11:30 right now. We're happy to continue on, and we will continue on answering these questions as they come in. If you are able to stay, please do stay, and we'll happily keep answering these and include them in the recording that we send out. If there are any specific questions that you have, feel free to contact us through info@opsumx.com. Additionally, I put up a poll for you. Please go ahead and answer that poll, and we'll make sure that we get back to you with the appropriate response. So if you can stay, please do stay. If you have to leave on to your next meeting, we certainly understand, and we'd like to wish you the very best 2021 that any of us can imagine. So thanks very much for staying. And Vamsi, let's keep going.
Yeah,
So
Spinnaker.
the next question was, is OpsumX basically a replacement for DEC, or is there more to it? I tried to answer that a little bit in the chat by saying that there's much more involved, but is there,
Yeah.
and that probably deserves, Michael, that probably deserves a longer conversation. So I'd encourage us to see if we can get a demonstration or a conversation. But Vamsi, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, definitely. Like Opsimex, we are doing many more replacement apart from the deck. It is like only simple Nginx part, like it's helping the Spinnaker to route the API calls. But the gate is a most major component where all the API calls will go through or happen through. So apart from that gate, also we are having many modifications on top of the open source Spinnaker based on the requirement. For example, if we need to have roles, and by default the Spinnaker doesn't provide any roles. So if you want to enable the roles and authorization mechanism, we need to have much and more configuration in our Orca code base. So that as Opsimex we are doing that.
Okay. Next question, also from Michael, is Spinnaker isn't really easy to set up. And so does OpsumX do anything to improve the ease of installation and configuration? I think the
Yeah.
answer is yes, but Vamsi, do you want to give a little bit more detail?
Yeah. So we as an Optimax, like Spinnaker is really difficult to set up, but we have made the Helm-based installation, which is like very easy and based on the user. Like we have developed LCM, which is like Spinnaker lifecycle management, which is like the production ready based Spinnaker. We can install it easily in the one single step. Which is very easy for installation. And for there are a few organizations which where they're expecting Spinnaker as a SaaS product, and we have developed the Spinnaker as a SaaS as well, where there will be agent running on the client infrastructure without having any like inbound rules added, which is like high security based installation. We do support the SaaS based installation as well on any of the cloud providers.
Yeah, so as Vamsi mentioned, we can take care totally of your Spinnaker installation, and not only the installation, the ongoing operation and management of it. So if that's a pain point for you, just let us know, and we're happy to make sure that that happens for you. Next question is, what's really the difference between GCP and Kubernetes as a Spinnaker cloud provider? This person has a Spinnaker running on GKE, and he remembers selecting Kubernetes as a cloud provider. What's the difference between the two?
No, whatever is a cloud provider, it can be like GCP or AWS or Azure. But Kubernetes is one of the cloud, one of the orchestration or the resource on which we will be deploying our applications onto. Like if it is like GCP, we will be calling as GKE, or if it is like AWS, we will be calling as EKS. But inside that, the Kubernetes cluster will be there alone. So basically, we will be based on the cloud provider, we will be selecting the account and we will be configuring our cloud driver accordingly. It's not like GCP and Kubernetes. Kubernetes is basically not a cloud provider, if I'm not wrong.
It's just a type of application deployment architecture. You can deploy in AWS or GKE, and you can deploy onto Kubernetes or onto other types of applications as well. Yeah. So the next question is, can you guess, Vamsi, at when Spinnaker will be integrated with Git Actions, just like with
as I just shown now, I have shown you the Git trigger, which means like we can configure the Git webhooks and we can add it in the Spinnaker pipeline automation triggers. So based on the in the webhook configurations for GitHub, we can select the actions whatever we want. It is like Git commit, or it is like any PR raised or a PR message, any of the actions we can select and we can trigger our Spinnaker pipeline just like Jenkins.
Okay. So is Jenkins just generating the Docker build and
Yes,
depositing to the Docker Hub? Okay, yeah,
right. So Jenkins is
yeah,
just generating the Docker build and it is, yeah.
yeah. That's what Jenkins is good at, right? Of course. So where do we, so here's a technical question from Garoon again. Thanks very much for all your questions. Again, we really appreciate it. Where do we define the default namespace in Spinnaker?
Okay, so there is a section called in the cloud providers when we are configuring our Kubernetes account, we can include the namespaces where what and all namespaces in which we can deploy our application to our microservice into. So based on that, there is a default account which not default account. It's basically the namespace. We will define it in our Halyard config while configuring our Kubernetes account over there. So not only default, we can define any other namespaces, and we can define the namespaces which we don't want to deploy as well. So if you see, like for few enterprises will be having same single cluster for production and non-prod environments. In that case, in order to make sure like any malfunctioning or mal deployment should be happened, we can specify the omit namespace also will be there in the Halyard configuration. So we can define the namespaces which we can deploy to and which we don't want to deploy to as well in that.
Okay, so last question. Can we see the Halyard config file where the namespaces are added? If you can pull that up, if that's possible, or if Vamsi, do you think that's easy for us to do? Or should we
Yeah,
take that offline?
no, can
Okay,
we
go
see the
ahead, pull it.
Halyard? Yeah, I will just show you. Yeah,
Pull it up. The other question was, are
sorry.
the slides going to be available? And is the recording going to be available? And we will follow up with a thank you note. Of course, we're very appreciative that you were able to come. And in that note, there will be a link to the recording. And if you'd like the slides, then just go ahead and say that you'd want the presentation slides, and we'll include that as well. You can also always contact us at info@opsumx.com or info@opsumx.io. Feel free to use either one. So go ahead, Vamsi.
Yeah. So these are the different Spinnaker components. So of which Halyard is a major component which will hold all the resources. I'm just going to the Halyard pod. Yeah, under the Halyard home directory, we'll be having our hall config, which is .hall. If you see the config, and here, so this is a AWS account which is unavailable. This is just the something which is connected to AWS. I will just show you the Kubernetes as well. So if you see this Kubernetes account name, Docker file, yeah, there is something called namespace where I have given the namespace called default and something called omit namespaces. Okay, this account is default, but what I selected is target AKS. Yeah, actually they're taking dynamically, so that's they are not showing here. So this is how basically you will see, like, which is like default, and this is called omit namespaces. If you in the namespaces, if you give default along with other, it will deploy or list in the your namespace list. If it is like if you specify something in the omit namespaces, that namespaces will be excluded for your deployment process to be taken up. I hope this clarified your question which you are looking for.
Super. Well, there are a few more comments that said, thank you, good session, and this was very helpful. So I'm glad that you found it helpful. We're more than happy to help in any way that we can. Feel free to contact us through info, again, at info@opsimex.io, or through any of the many channels. Thank you again very much, and we'd like to wish you a very happy new year, and a very, very prosperous and happy 2021. Thanks very much, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.